All right, guys, welcome to the channel. Today's episode, I'm going to give my thoughts over the Netflix documentary entitled Untold Shooting Guard. It's about the 2009 incident, infamous locker room gun incident involving Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton. I remember this when it came out. I think everybody remembers when this came out, but I want to talk about this documentary. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I just have to share with you. This is a very compelling, riveting, just great documentary. And the cool thing about it, like what a lot of documentaries do, is it definitely paints the whole canvas for us. Like we start from learning about these guys when they were young, learning their personality. Particularly Javaris. Look, the thing about Gil. See a little bit about what they say about him. He grew up single parent home, single father, which from our community it's usually the other way around. He never knew his mother. He grew up in the burbs. His dad was in the industry. Apparently his dad was a bodyguard for some well-known Hollywood celebrities, but Gil was what you see now: very carefree, prankster, jokester, clown. As Charlie Murphy would say about Rick James, an habitual line crosser, which will come into play later on. But there's one point where his high school basketball coach, I think Gil's kind of guy, I don't even think he ever thought about playing in the NBA. I think he even says that, where he didn't realize how talented he was. His coach flat out told him, he told him, I've never said this to anybody before, and I'll probably never say it to anybody after, but basically, you have the ability to do this professional. You can play in the NBA. And so, Gilbert eventually locked down and he went to Arizona, and the rest is history. He made it to the league. As for Javaris Crittenton, he came up the hard way, single parent but single mother, grew up in the hood, grew up in the projects. He got it out the gutter, man. He played on a high school team with Dwight Howard. So, he exploded. He said he had offers from all over the country, but decided to stay local and went to Georgia Tech, was drafted by the Lakers, and eventually ended up on the Wizards, where him and Gilbert Arenas came into contact. And it talks about, like I talked about personality, like Javaris, his big thing was respect. And what we find out is Gilbert, like I said, he's a line crosser and would, I guess you would say, bully teammates and, get at teammates. And they show video footage throughout. Like, these guys had, videotape from the locker room. And you can see Gilbert just, going after certain players over and over again. And he even says, once I see somebody do something, like they give me a response and I know it gets to them, I keep doing it. And so it really reminded me, Gilbert. I mean, if you play sports, we probably all had a guy like that on the team. And I remember when my first year playing ball in college, I played with a guy like that. I'm not going to say his name, but I played with a guy who's an habitual line crosser. And like Javaris Crittenton, because he talks about how it always made him feel a certain way, because he's like, I don't know this guy. And like, joking with it like this, it came off. He felt the way about it, and I totally understand that, because I'm that kind of person too. Like, I don't joke around with people I don't know, and I don't want people joking with me I don't know, because I don't know you, so you can't get. I'm there comes a line. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a point where there's general joking around, but when you keep going and I let's just say I definitely can understand that. So that's where they ultimately, where the incident happened, it stemmed from that. But one of the things this documentary does is we get other players who was in that locker room, like Nick's aka Swaggy P, Nick Young, their perspective, and other players on that Wizards team, like what happened in there, what led up to it, things that we didn't know, because initially what they put out in the media wasn't necessarily what it was. We also, hear from Peter Vesey. If you've watched the NBA For you know that guy. That guy he used to be the one that used to break stories back in the day in the early 90s. I remember him when I was a kid watching the NBA, hearing about Peter Vesey. But from that incident, because like truly, this is a tale of two tales. Because after the incident, their trajectories go in opposite directions. Both of them are suspended for the whole season, and Gilbert, he's able to land back on his feet because at that time he was one of the faces of the NBA. Whereas Javaris, this one incident, like ended everything for him. And then after that, he suffered two traumatic situations that involved the gun, which resulted in him, uh, getting a gun. And then because of what happened to him, he tried to rectify that situation, and tragedy struck again for himself and someone who had nothing to do what happened to him. So it's like that one incident that happened with him and Gilbert, it had so much of an effect on him, not necessarily on Gilbert. And it's very, like I said, it's very interesting. Like Gilbert Arenas, he says he kind of understands why Javaris would feel a certain way, but he doesn't. He's like, at the end of the day, it's not my fault, which is true. We all make decisions, but Gil did play a part into what happened. But I don't want to give too much more because they talk about more stuff like Dwight Howard's connection uh, later on, a family member of his. They're alleging that he may have helped Javaris down the road to get him out of a prison sentence. But like I said, this was a great documentary. I totally enjoyed it. It's an hour and a half, but it's so compelling, and it pulls you in. And yeah, you sit and watch the whole time. I knocked it out. I didn't realize it was an hour and a half. It was that good. So if you got the time, I'm recommending this one for you. Like I said, it's on Netflix. It's titled Untold Shooting Guard. And so, like I said, it tells the story, as I said, the tale of two halves of Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton. So yeah, guys, like I always say, if it's for 1 minute, 5 minutes, or whole damn video, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to consume and view my content. But if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe, smash the like, and get in the comments. And yeah, I'll be looking for you there. So with that being said, it's your boy P sign off, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.